we got 6:34. Call this meeting to order. Do we have enough people for quorum now with our meeting?
We're only missing Vicky is the only official person that we're missing.
Gotcha. So, do we have any adjustments to the agenda tonight? Anyone? Just the agenda? Nope. All right. How about the last change? Did everybody get a chance to read through the minutes?
Yep.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
I'll motion to approve the minutes from July 2020.
I second.
Alrighty. Okay. And I think we're gonna move. Got a train going by there. So we're gonna do. Shanda's gonna give us an update on the Center for the Arts and Public Art. So do next, since we got that.
Yeah, we need to do all in favor.
Oh,
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor of the minutes as stated?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Anyone? No. All right. So we'll move on our agenda to Shanda and update of the Center of the Arts and the Public Art update.
Can I say really quick, just a reminder that I have to leave at 7:15-ish.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep. Thank you, Sky, and happy anniversary. And all.
Oh, thank you.
Yay. So Center for the Arts is engaged in some kind of interesting discussions lately with other cities about how to administer some CARES Act funds that have to do with community psyche and community building, and how to build community and provide mental health and community wellness and community projects during this extended pandemic. So that's been really interesting. I think it's a great use of some of the skill set that we have at the Center for the Arts, and we're in talks with other cities around us on how to do different projects and how we might spearhead different efforts in that. So that's been kind of fun, and that may come into play later in our discussion. So the other cities that we're working with on that are Tualatin, Tigard, Durham, King City, and Sherwood. I think that's all. But Sherwood Center for the Arts staff has been asked to take the lead on kind of conceptualizing and making the aims of those projects clear, and I'm really excited. So that's going to be something we're focusing on heavily for the next couple of weeks and months. Public art plan wise, we've got a lot of things happening as far as continuing to refine the language and get our murals plan ready. I was noticing in February when we talked about the murals plan, I'd put out the murals plan to everyone and asked for feedback, and I got great feedback from Casey. Thank you, Casey. But didn't know if anyone else had anything else. If you want me to resend it, let me know. But I'd love to just hear feedback on that murals plan, which will be part of the official public art plan eventually. But the murals plan is kind of a not a pullout of that, but just something that can be easily executed, a portion of that plan. Does anyone anyone have any questions, or do we remember this? This was back in February.
Sorry, I do not remember. And see if I can find the email.
I remember it, and I remember thinking that it sounded just fine, and I'm sorry I didn't let you know. But I'll look at it again and just make sure.
That's all right. Any critical feedback or language that needs to be tweaked, I appreciate that feedback from you all. It was February 18th, I think.
Found it.
Okay.
I don't remember reading this. I must have just
Okay.
completely missed it, but I will definitely read it tonight.
I think we all thought that we would all meet again very briefly after that. So I just know that that's still floating out there. So if you all do want to read it, I may resend it, and just know that we can't discuss it online, of course, but I will grab all your comments and collate them.
Yeah, your next email was literally meeting canceled in March.
Yeah.
Right at that weird time.
So I guess one thing I do want to say public art wise is there are public art things and public art adjacent things that are being discussed and considered with this CARES Act community psyche grant. So that's exciting, and it's very ever more important that we have this public art plan be very timely and ready to execute should we be called upon, I guess. John, do you, that's all I've got. There's a lot percolating right now,
Trying to open this.
which is exciting.
I think my gerbils on my internet are catching on fire. I was trying to download the PDF.
That's okay.
All right. Did anybody have questions for Shanda on any of that?
Was that your full update, or was that just the update on the public art stuff?
That's just that's public art.
Okay. I don't see the agenda. There's the agenda.
All right. Well, if we're all done with this portion, I guess
I didn't hear that, John. Sorry, it cut out.
So we're moving on to you with
okay.
friends.
Thought I heard my name.
I'm gonna go and find some headphones to make this a little clearer.
So we have not had a official meeting since I last reported back to you. So there really is nothing to report except we canceled our meeting for tonight. Except obviously you heard back from us regarding the grant for the public art project. So and we all were excited about it and approved it, and that is basically all that has happened since I last updated you. So yeah, we're excited about that.
Sky, did you want to say what the friends had a few clarifying points or clarifying questions for the commission? Did you want to?
Sure. Let me just pull that up really quick.
And I did have that pulled up. It is on my phone, which
no worries.
So
I should be able to get it in about 20 seconds here, if my phone will work, or if my computer will work properly. Okay. There we go. I sent it to you. just a few things. I don't know if everybody read the letter that we wrote back about it, but basically we're really excited and I'm happy to hear that an artist was being brought on board to help with the cohesiveness of the project. And one of the just questions, not really concerns, but of the group was that they wanted to make sure that the contract with the artist is very clear um, going into it, because we all know how quickly time can add up and costs can add up. Um, and just that it's not open-ended, just that there's an end date, specific time frame. Um, and everybody loved the idea of it being lit in the evening, and they think that the light will reach more people that way and make it more striking. Um, and then they were just really hoping that there will be specific guidelines set forth uh, if this is a big community project, so that of what is and isn't acceptable, and then who, if something is not accepted, who's going to communicate that to the submitter? Is that the artist? Is it someone on the board? And just to make sure that the board has final say in the project. Those were just some of our concerns. Who is the last word on the final art project? Is it the artist or is it the board?
Is that Friends Board or Commission?
The commission.
Okay.
We're trusting you guys. We don't need to have any say in the project, just making sure that you guys are the steerers of the project.
Makes sense.
Does anyone have any questions for Sky or any feedback for that?
There's two of us. Casey, John, you're all good.
Yeah.
It was just when we were talking about it, those were just questions that came up in our meeting, but we weren't really concerned about anything. We figured the commission will work through all that stuff, but just some things to think about.
Well, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea is that the commission has the final say on the artwork that is put forth, because it needs to, communicate our values as a commission and the values of Sherwood that you are all representing. And just like we put the Cultural Arts Commission as the de facto art selection committee, I feel like that would fall into your auspices as well. Right? Am I reading that? So I would love to, while Sky is still here, maybe talk about next steps for driving that forward, so that we can tell the Friends that their funds are being used. I did have a procedural question for maybe Kelsey or Kristen. Do we need to do a request for proposals? Do we need to do an RFP for something like this? Or can we contact specific artists who we know could do this kind of scope?
So the scope is going to be, I believe, in the dollar amount small enough that you aren't required to do an RFP. However, I would recommend keeping it as open as a process as possible, just so that everyone feels like they have an opportunity to submit their ideas. So I would definitely do an open call for artists, but due to the funds, it's not because of the funding, just more to make sure that you're including everybody and aren't going directly to an artist and requesting them to be a part of the project.
Okay, so we need to make a call for artists. This is part of transparency.
That's what I would recommend. I mean, there's nothing that says you have to do that, and this commission can certainly discuss it, but that would be my recommendation. Doesn't mean you can't reach out to some people that you know, but just seeing stuff like this happened in the past. People may feel like they didn't have an opportunity to submit, and it's something that they would have wanted to submit for. So I would try to keep it as open and transparent as possible. Be my recommendation.
Thank you. Anyone have any thoughts on that or feedback?
No, just could we, I mean, just that we have a good end date for getting the proposals, just because we're, so it doesn't drag out too long. One of the caveats for the money is just that we do it in 2020, which I'm sure will be fine, but.
So it feels like we need some next steps here. For we have the concept mostly clear. We have the funds, and now we need to identify who wants to do the reach out to artists and make sure that the process feels as open and transparent as possible.
Mm-hmm. Did we have somebody that was taking the lead on this?
I know Roxanne was pretty passionate about it, but no, we didn't have a person who was taking the lead on the nuts and bolts nitty gritty. Does anybody want to latch onto this and take the lead on driving forward the project? Now that we've got all the we have funds and concept in place, we need a driver, a chair.
And we're missing one, right? We're missing Vicky.
Yeah.
Okay. And I love this idea, and I'm definitely here to help, but work is intense right now, and so I just can't take the lead on it, unfortunately. But I will absolutely help, and even though Ava's still not on the board, she's happy to volunteer her time to do whatever as well.
Thank you, Ava. Tell her thank you from us.
I will.
Do our participant training TikTok videos for us.
Exactly.
We do.
Yep.
Need some street cred. Well, so maybe we can spend a few minutes just making sure we're all still feeling good about the concept of it, so that if we do, whoever does take the lead on it knows what we're going for. You all read the proposal that Jeff put together, and thank you, Jeff, for putting pen to paper or fingers to typing sticks. But we're all feeling good about the clearness of that direction. Yeah.
I have a comment, and I don't know how anybody else will take this, but it seems like we're saying this is an uplifting thing, and it's supposed to inspire the community and show togetherness and all that. But I want to make sure that as it is an art project, that we don't deny that people are having negative emotions and things, and that we shouldn't rule that out, and we should find a place in the piece to express the mental health issues that people are having because of this. It's not all rosy and cute and uplifting. I don't know, that's my feeling.
Yeah. I think that's real. Thanks, Jeff. Anyone else have anything to add along those lines? And I think that is where a really skilled artist can take all of that and turn that into the resulting piece that reflects all of that.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think we kind of want the overall piece to feel hopeful, but yes, it has to be truthful as well. So, that makes sense to me. I also, Shanda, if you can help remind me, the group that just sent out, they're trying to encourage like community involvement in the arts, and I forget what they have a new project or a new initiative they're working on. Was it Americans for the Arts?
There is a project through Americans for the Arts. I know Oregon Cultural Trust is doing a thing now too.
Yeah, and it was something that I felt like kind of was parallel to what we are doing, that we might also take some inspiration from. And I forgot to get the info for the meeting, but it's somewhere in my email. It was just
Americans for the Arts.
Was it Americans for the Arts?
Yeah, we're both on that email list.
Okay.
And I think there's something to speak to what Jeff was saying. There's something uplifting about knowing that you're not the only person feeling those negative feelings too. And I think what we want the project to do is come alongside people wherever they are um, in their mental health journey. I know sometimes for the people around me, it changes hourly sometimes. So we want the piece to be able to speak to um, the totality of that.
Yes, agreed. And I found this, it's about sharing how the arts create hope for you. So the hashtag is Arts Create Hope. So it's their Arts Create Hope campaign. But this just seemed to kind of go hand in hand with what we're working on.
Well, that sounds like a fun thing to go down the social media rabbit hole a little bit too. So hashtag Arts Create Hope.
Yep. And it says this campaign is aimed at the general public and arts supporters with the goal of reminding people how much the arts mean to us in times like this. As you are well aware, arts advocacy will be more important than ever in the coming months and years, and we hope this campaign can keep the value of the arts in the minds of our community members. So we can take it or leave it, but I just thought it was interesting timing.
It'd be nice to be connected to something bigger than just us as well.
Yeah.
And it is, this is a time when we're all, turning to the things that we love to get comfort. And I think more people than usual are turning to the arts and to music and to visual representations and all of that.
Meditation.
I feel like I think everyone has a lot on their plate right now. Would it be helpful to identify like the exact next steps that we would need to pursue this project so it doesn't feel like an overwhelming I should not have used the word chair, like chairmanship of this, but if there was a bite-sized small piece that someone could do next, would it be helpful to break it down into like bite-sized morsels of action?
I would think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
like the morsel I did was good.
That was a good morsel.
Yeah. And I don't honestly think this is that overwhelming, especially because we're looking to hire an artist. So it's really just kind of getting it organized and making some contacts, which would normally be right up my alley, but I guess, and I'm just not clear, did we ever get to the point where we kind of narrowed down the type of project we wanted to do? I can't remember. I don't know. Did we vote on, we want to do this and people are going to print out their handprint or whatever? Did we get that far with it? I know we discussed it a lot.
I think we got to the point, and correct me if I'm off, I think we got to the point of we need to bring in an artist to help us actually put those things together, because we were kind of going in circles of, we've got a lot of great ideas, wings, hands, lights, rainbows, but we need someone who, this is all they do. They put these huge projects together, and then they help us execute it.
Okay.
So it
Do
sounds
we have
like
a strong enough idea? Do we have a strong enough to give them good guidance? You know?
I feel that we do, but I would open that up for discussion.
Okay. Just so that it's not too open-ended.
Yeah.
Is one of the morsels the actual getting the word out for people to send in digital images, or is that something that the staff can do in whoever's doing social media or things like that, or what?
I think we can support that as staff people to use our social media channels.
Yeah, I think that that's after we meet with the artist and get a clear direction. But I kind of think if we're gonna put the time in, if we even do like a request for a proposal, we need to get a little more specific and say, here's the type of project we want to do. Really narrow it down a little bit more, because otherwise we're gonna be paying an artist for a lot more time than the money we have. So I do kind of think it would be good if we could get more narrowed down about what we want to see.
Okay. So do we want to do a specific ask? Could we spend 3 minutes talking about what our specific asks would be? For that artist? Okay. Does someone want to jump in and say what?
Can I jump in for a second? Do we know, like, do we want a mural? Do we want lights? Like, there's a lot of different mediums talked about that might help. Like, I feel like you all want to do something that's uplifting, but it's almost like we need to, what are like the nitty gritty?
Yes, exactly.
Because different artists work with different materials. I think that's a pretty big.
Right. Like, are we wanting a community art project where everybody sends in their piece of art and then the artist compiles it? And is our medium going to be we want a piece of paper that they decorate? I just think it'd be really good to narrow that down a little more. And if it morphs when we meet with the artist, that's fine. But I might not be remembering right, but I just don't think we have really a clear. Because I know we came up with a word. We came up with like a word or words. What it was? Anybody remember?
What we wish for you, what we wish for.
What we wish for, what I wish for you, or yeah.
So what I took away, and tell me if I'm off, but what I took away is that we want something where community members submit things digitally, and the artist will put something together out of all those digital submissions, and it might live in flat form against our windows, or it might live hanging from the lobby of the center. And then the extra piece that we would work on, maybe working with some of John's contacts, are how to light up that finished project.
Okay.
Light it up so people can walk by and see it. But we wouldn't be asking the artist that. We would be asking the artist to collate and gather and make it into some kind of something that looks beautiful that we can all see. And then we would then we add the lighting.
Okay.
I think that's exactly right.
Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
I just think that what Shonda said was exactly what I envisioned it as well, and I think, and also I would like it to be something that we can keep for the archives or public art somewhere else or something. So it wouldn't be something like a mural on the wall. It would have to be an object that was hung or put on the window somehow. Okay,
So,
go ahead.
okay, so the artist is the main thing we need from the artist is just to figure out how to compile it and make it look cohesive and like a piece of art.
So
And
we're not doing I thought this was more of a like a temporary type public art project based on budget and whatnot. Am I incorrect?
think it's
it'd be nice to try and keep it, but I don't. If we're going to be making it out of paper, I don't know how well it'll weather itself.
I think both are correct. I think we want it to be a temporary installation, but then I think Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but you want it to be keepable. So if we wanted to then hang it at City Hall sometime,
Right, exactly, on one of those big open walls or something like that.
so
It'd be nice.
keepable.
Yeah,
if possible, I
If
mean,
possible.
and if we can't, we could also document it digitally
Yeah,
and
sure.
put it up on the website or something.
Yeah, that's good too.
Okay. So it's definitely something the community is involved with. The community turns in a submission. Um, and then the artist puts it together and then we figure out how to light it. But so the main thing is just deciding exactly what the theme is and how to put it together. That's what we want the artist to do.
Yes.
Well, if we're going to light it, I'd probably need to be in contact with the artist as they're making it, so that because 2D art versus 3D art, because once you start throwing a lighting component into it, you're starting to make it more of a 3D type of thing. So in the sense of placement, it has to be a certain way, because Jeff brought up a good point that it can't be right up against the glass. Is how do we light it? If the lights are going to be inside the center, and the same thing with the piece, if it's inside the center, it has to be strategically placed so light has a chance to actually do something with the piece. And
that would
it might need to be made a certain way to actually pick up the light.
That would need to be a collaborative process.
Yeah.
With the artist. Okay. So we're asking the artist to compile, collate, cohesify, and collaborate with us.
Okay.
Do you feel strongly about specifying the medium? Like specifying this is going to be paper based, this is going to be.
I think it needs to be something that anybody has easy access to. Yeah.
I know we discussed possibly people making something at home and then submitting it, or having a way of digitally making something and submitting it. But you really start getting flat in the sense of an image if you're having to print it. So that's something you have to take in consideration too, I would suppose.
But did we decide that we needed to do that because the center can't accept pieces of art for us and that was going to get too complicated?
I think we talked about having a time. There was like a time frame that
They,
correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I heard Kristen say something about like a 2 day like holding period where it stays. You know what I mean? There's like a whatever the contact is for.
Books and things.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there was talk about like what the library is doing right now is they're holding submitted materials or returned books. They're holding them for a certain amount of time. And I think Sky, what you were talking about is, yeah, it would be costly to do a lot of color printing on photo paper after a certain while. So yeah, I guess we could decide, or we could specify further in what way we want people to submit their work. Is that a discussion that we want to do right now?
Yes. And can I bring up one other thing? And I'm sorry, but I'm having a hard time as the more I thought about it with the what I wish for you line. I feel like that is, I don't know. It seems a little vague. I don't know.
There's the second portion of that. I think that came out of the discussion about words and people doing things at their home and putting a word on their outside of their home or lawn. The second part of that, if you read what Jeff typed up, was more related to what are we all
Yes.
doing?
Yes. And I did
What are we?
see that.
So I mean that could be an easy pivot if you, as the cultural arts body, want to pivot away from text and concepts and pivot towards, hey, we want actual drawings or photos of what you guys are doing to get through this.
Yeah, because I feel like the what I wish for you, if we want something personal from each for the submittals, and Jeff was talking about the mental health aspect, and it just feels like it should be more personal to the person that is making it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would fit with a lot of circumstances.
Yeah.
Kind of limiting.
And the what I wish for you is more kind of a different thing.
All right. What are people thinking? Casey, do you have thoughts about that? Or Jeff?
Yes, I do. I agree with Sky. I didn't really like that first part anyway.
I don't know if that was just a general statement, but I didn't quite understand it myself. I think it was just maybe a sense of a directional type thing versus an actual this is what we want people to say or base what they're going to say off of. It almost seems like that would be coaxing a little bit too much in the sense of the artistic part of things.
Okay, so I'm just going to read from what was submitted to the Friends. It says the piece itself will be constructed from digital photos elicited through social media and sent in by Sherwood residents. This says the photos will depict activities, undertakings, new things discovered, or simply thoughts and emotions that have come to the fore during the quarantine.
That seems more
Yeah.
like what we're all thinking. Yes.
Okay.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Any other?
So it's starting to sound more like a collage then if they're sending in photos.
Yeah. And maybe we can leave it even, we could, like what Jeff wrote is good because that instigates kind of a lot of different thoughts about how you're feeling. And as long as we provided some guidelines and made sure that if we're going to say this can't be political, but it has to be, personal. But I think that opens it up more for people to express how they're feeling. Maybe right now, I mean, and we could still give it we could keep it personal, or we could also have them relate it to the community somehow. But it just seems like there's more possibility of expressing yourself more widely with that.
And just one more sentence in there. It says another element of this piece may be what has helped us cope during this historic pandemic.
I like that. Cope. How have we been coping? That's good.
How are we feeling with that as we narrow not narrow. We're just putting the focus here instead of in 3 places. We're focusing it on that aspect of it.
And maybe how have you been coping, and what is giving you hope to get through? Something like that. But I think if we can take out the what I wish for you part, and the rest of what Jeff had written, I think was great, and that is something we could give to the artist, and maybe just fine tune it a little bit more and add. But I think it's, yeah, good.
So it always helps to have an essential question that we're asking if we're asking for like a community participation thing. So our essential question is, how are you coping, and what is giving you hope to get through? Is that our essential question? Basically, hoping and coping.
Yep.
Kind of fits along the lines of that other thing you were talking about too, of the potential grant. So
Yeah. Um, yeah. Any other thoughts that spring to mind that would be germane to this? Um, I'm gonna call it the hoping and coping project in my head. No.
did CARES stand for something? Like isn't an abbreviation?
Yeah, I mean the CARES Act. Sean, do you remember what it is? It's a whole thing.
Put me on the spot here. Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those DC acronyms. Yeah. Um, I don't know exactly.
I don't know. Quick Google search if anyone wants to do that. So it feels like the next thing that we need to do for this project is write like a two sentence opening up for artists, and we're looking for a collage artist. It sounds like that can narrow it down. We're looking for a person skilled in collage and larger scale works.
Yeah.
Who will work collaboratively with the Cultural Arts Commission to execute this project. Does that sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that sounds great.
Okay.
Does sound good.
I feel a little better about. I think it's a little more focused.
Okay.
Does everybody else?
Sorry, I'm back. I got dropped there. Yeah, I think I agree with Sky's point. Just in general, if you're going to go out for any kind of RFP, you should really be honing in on who can do what it is you're looking for, rather than going out saying, "What can you do for us?" I mean, you really want to find the right person for what you're trying to accomplish.
Exactly. Thank you. I think what was concerning me.
I looked up the CARES Act. We don't want that name in there anymore. So
No.
no.
It would be great if my ideal is if someone locally was available to do this. That would be amazing to have a Sherwood person helping put this together.
So do we need somebody that can start researching local artists? Is that one of our to-do lists, to-do task items?
Well, it sounds like we need to put this call out and open it up for submission so we can see who. I think it's twofold. We see who's out there that we might not know about, and we also tag or tap the people that we do know about to submit. Well, I guess, what are we asking for them to submit?
Yeah, so, and can we can put that call out through the city? Is that correct? Since we're
so.
a board? Okay.
Yeah, we're a board commission.
How much money is it?
It's
$550.
Yeah.
So that's another reason we're worried about we should be as specific as possible with what we're looking for. So we're looking for a visual artist that can compile a paper, a piece of a paper. I don't. What are we?
I think a collage artist who's skilled in large scale works.
Okay.
Large scale works together, and someone who's worked hopefully on a community art project before. And they are out there. It's just us finding the right fit, and maybe it's a I mean, we could call for them to send a portfolio or send us their website, and then we talk to the top two.
So could we, if we put that out, we'll have a few hours. We'll need to collaborate and talk with them, but we could do the work of putting out the call to the community, accepting the submittals, once we get it all nailed down, and then we can hand it all over to the artist, because then that could cut down quite a bit on the hours if we do some of that in between stuff.
I believe so.
We could look at the two schools that come to mind: the Pacific Northwest College of Art and then the Oregon College of Art and Craft.
That's closed.
See if they have any that are both
I
closed.
know Oregon College of Art and Craft closed their doors.
Oh no.
So sad.
Yeah, my kids used to go there.
Ah, beautiful campus.
Mm.
But
Would
yeah,
it be,
go, Jeff.
would it be helpful or at all reasonable to include on the RFP a few of the images that we looked at? I'm thinking of specifically the winged one, just as examples of what we're looking.
I'm not sure. Does anyone know what the etiquette is on visual art? Casey, you're a visual artist. Would you know what's the
Yeah, I probably can ask some of my classmates because I took one of the what's that, the graphic design class from PCC. So probably I have some connection. I can ask.
I have a couple of friends of mine that went to the Oregon College of Art and Craft, and see if they happen to remember anyone that specialized in collage.
So I think our best move forward would be to put this call out, and then for all of us to cap our friends or poke our friends. There's got to be a better verb than poke. Like just nudge our friends who we know might work in this medium or know someone who does, and encourage them to apply. And I may just ask we yeah I may just ask what the going rate. I feel like we should know what the going rate for something like this.
It's not going to be very much money because, I mean, the materials will probably take up half of it.
Yeah, we're paying for their time mostly.
So do you think we need to talk about this a little bit more and really make sure we have a clear guideline for what we are looking for and the time and what we want to pay an artist to do?
I feel that
Go ahead.
Sorry, I feel that we need to either move forward on it or not, I mean, we've got a month left of summer weather.
Yeah. So who's gonna do that? That's what we, who in our group is gonna volunteer to do that?
So the first morsel is to put the call out. I'm happy to do the first morsel with these words that we have all agreed are important. Would it be helpful to type up those sentences and send them all to you as a body, and then you give me feedback individually, so we're not discussing online, but then get a thumbs up from all of you to put that language out there? Is that helpful?
Would love that. That would be great. I just want to make sure that I think we're all on the same page, but just that from part of what Jeff had already written and then what we discussed today, and then just to make sure that it all comes together in a clear picture. I have absolute faith that you can do that, but I would love to see that.
Would somebody, as another morsel, does somebody have the bandwidth to contact Vicky? As I just am very aware that we have one person missing tonight. Is someone able to contact her and just fill her in the next 24 hours about the narrowing of the scope, and just fill her in on what happened tonight? Anyone able to take that morsel?
I don't mind contacting her. I'm just not sure what my day is going to be like tomorrow. So I can't promise 24 hours, but do you know if she was missing the meeting? Is she okay? Just had other stuff coming up.
I didn't get an email. Kelsey, did you hear from her at all?
I did not get any response on, there was a couple emails that I sent out asking for attendance. I didn't get anything.
I don't mind sending her an email and asking if she's able to talk and just say we've kind of updated it and just like to fill her in real quick.
Okay. Just want to make sure everyone is in the loop.
Yeah, and I think this is right up her alley, so it'd be good to have her thoughts on everything.
Yeah, I know
Kelsey,
she was excited.
Kelsey, how soon do you usually have minutes available from meetings?
Usually the week before, but if I need to get them ready, then I can do them sooner.
Gotcha. That's what I was wondering about reaching out to Vicky. If I had the minutes and the notes, I could kind of go through things with her as well, but
This whole meeting is on YouTube also. Just throwing that out there.
That's good.
Good point.
Yeah,
I've got like 2 more minutes.
All right. What's next, John? So my next step will be sending sentences to you all, getting your thumbs up, and then we'll send it out.
Got it.
Thank you. That sounds great.
I think we're on to Sean. Sean's update from the council.
Hey, all right. So not a ton going on. We got a meeting tomorrow night. It's gonna be a very quiet meeting. We got some work sessions. It's essentially all consent agenda stuff tomorrow night. Reappointing some folks to the budget committee. I'm trying to think what else we've got coming up. We've got some, we're meeting regularly. I think I mentioned that in a previous meeting. We are not taking any time off this summer. Typically in July and August, we try and do one meeting a month, but the Park and Recs draft plans coming for a work session in September. We're going to also have a work session on diversity, equity, and inclusion in September. So looking forward to that. I think that's about it. Hoping to see you soon. Some consent agenda items coming across our desk for some new board and commission members. I know that we've got a deadline. I think was it last Friday was the deadline for applications. I don't know how we did for this group, but I know we've got some. Oh, okay. Yeah, we had some interviews. I know for the police advisory board already, and there's some other openings out there as well. And then just working through the Park and Recs comp plan is really some of the big work we're going to be doing here over the next couple months. So not much else. I'm certainly open for questions if anybody has anything.
I'll just mention really quick for the openings for the commission, the deadline was on Friday, but we have extended that. So it's now open until filled because we'd still like to have some more applications come in. So please continue to spread the word. I believe there's 3 right now, and we'd love to see a few more come in.
Great.
All right, nothing else for me.
Okay, I gotta go. Thanks, guys. Sorry.
Thank you, Sky.
Have a good night, Sky.
See you later.
Okay. So, all right, John Lyles. Where'd he go?
Looks like we lost him.
I know. Where's our? Uh-oh. All right.
Here he comes. He's back in.
All right. I'm gonna let him back.
I let him in.
Thank you.
Sorry
Hey, John.
about that. Dog was going nuts, needing to go outside. Nobody else is here, so went a little too far for the Wi-Fi.
That's all right. What is next on our agenda?
So there's something about you in a citizen comment. Did anyone submit anything to you from the public that we needed to discuss?
They did not.
Okay. And the next is the discussion of community art projects by you as well.
So I think we just did that. We just kind of hopped on that early. But I'm glad we did while Sky was still here. So
Yeah. Sorry. I just a question come out. Do we have time frame right now for the project?
timeline. That's a very good question. Jeff or John? I mean, I would like to get it going while it's still nice weather and while people will still walk past the center. While the alfresco dining experience is still happening. But could one of you speak to timeline for the project?
I think based on like hearing what was going on with Sky, I think we're all feeling kind of tapped with everything going on. I know work for me has gotten all crazy all of a sudden, and then recesses and gets crazy, and I've got like 2 weeks left before I go supernova with work. In the sense of the project itself, I do have concerns about the budget and sense of acquiring an artist and use of materials. And I know in the sense of the lights, I'm going to have to get really creative and try to call in favors, but I know I can't even rent lights for $550 to do what we're wanting to do. I have other means of light that aren't necessarily conventional light fixtures, so I'm not too worried in that result or that part, but it would take more than me to know how to set them up so we get a desired effect. Sense of timeline, I know we're all looking for someone to take the lead, and I'm trying to figure out who's going to be that person to be able to do it.
Yeah.
I think how long do you plan on giving for the RFP process? I mean, if you put the word out, you have to allow for a couple weeks, right, for response? what are your thoughts there? I mean, you're running out of daylight.
Yep.
So today is what is today?
17th of August. So what's in the sense of, taking consideration the budget and the size of the work is not a super large project. Uh, do we give a time frame for RFPs for like a week or 2 weeks max? Because the longer we stretch it out, the longer you have to go through all the steps of actually creating the piece and then acquiring the pieces from the community as well, which is going to be time consuming.
Yes. Is there a minimum time, Kristen, for an RFP or any kind of open segment to be put out? Is there a minimum?
No, I mean, it's a little bit different than if we were doing a posting for a job application or anything like that. Typically, we try to give people at least a couple of weeks to respond. I've seen for open call for artists, more like 30 days if you're asking people to come up with some sort of a concept. But it sounds like this group has narrowed down the concept. And if we have some specific areas that we can target to post this, like rack, then I would think a couple of weeks should be sufficient. I don't think I'd do much more than that though, just because, or much less than that, just because it's summer and even though people are staying home, it's still a very busy time, transition time for people with getting close to the school year. So unless, I don't know if it would benefit you to shorten it to 10 days or a week. I would think a couple weeks would be good.
Okay. Thank you. Any feedback on that?
I agree. 2 weeks is pretty much the minimum, I would think. And in the meantime, the social media calls can go out and the digital images can be collected while that RFP is circulating, right?
True.
I mean, Jeff, that's a good point. There's nothing that says we can't start collecting images. At the very least, if we, let's say it all fell flat and we didn't get an artist, we could still collect the images and post them in other ways.
True. In the sense of the then it's down to deciding on format in the sense of size. Um, we'd have to decide on sizing so that we have something consistent for someone to work with, a sense of an artist to put something together.
So to Casey's question, for timeline, it sounds like what I would love to propose, I'd love your feedback, is that I send out the few sentences that we're talking about. I send those out to you tonight, and you all give me feedback, thumbs up, thumbs down. I hate this, I love this, by tomorrow night, and then we can post it out on all channels. We have Rack, we have Spalding Valley Creates, we have our own social media. We could even put a little blurb in the Sherwood Gazette and open that up for 2 week period. And then pursue it from there. That sounds like a start of a timeline.
And I think the RFP probably, I mean, it's really pushing it to do it before Alfresco is over, because they have that until I think the 1st of October maybe. But it would be nice if maybe we could put it in the RFP that it's something that needs to be expedited. Maybe by the middle of September, hopefully have something to at least start the lighting process with.
And John, we're looking, I know the lighting will be very, that's a different process, but we can talk about different ways of that's not all rolled into the same fee. I feel like lighting could be talked about with other means.
Okay.
Because I hear the concerns there.
And as far as John was saying, the size, I think it's going to need to be at least like 12 by 8 or something, don't you think?
I keep meaning to go by the center. Maybe it's a night to do it today and just get general sizes of the windows and see what it looks like in dusk and whatnot as well. See what I know we were talking about reflective factor as well with the setting sun to see what that looks like.
So we're definitely thinking large scale paper collage.
Again, it's really dependent on how many submissions we get from community.
Sure.
Do we had a time frame? How long? Maybe Kelsey would know. I don't know if she knows top of her head. How long did we run the yarn the project we did, the Unity project?
I'm gonna say it was a week or 2 weeks. I know that we started it on International Peace Day,
Mm-hmm.
which was a Friday. I think there was 2 weekends. I'd have to look back.
You know, speaking of International Peace Day, Kelsey, thank you for bringing that up. We do have Peace Day coming again, September 19th. It should be on your agenda for the little dates of note. And although we can't have anyone inside the building right now, we will have people marching from peace pole to peace pole around the city. That could be a great time to collect some submissions from folks or to get the word out to folks.
So, since of the overall look, are we leaving that up to the artist to decide the look for the piece, or do we want to decide the look of the piece? Like we threw around just to get the conversation started, the hands reaching and then the wings. Is that some direction we want to go, or do we want something different and have the artist come up with that, or?
I think that depends on you all. You could either dictate the terms,
Mm-hmm.
or we could ask the artists to help more with their artist sensibilities for that. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there. We either do the bulk of the deciding here in this group, or we ask for more mental labor from the artist and pay him or her accordingly. What are your prevailing thoughts?
Well,
They're not right or wrong.
I would go back to what I suggested, wondering, and we never did decide whether it was appropriate, if we could put a couple of the images that we've already thought about, just to give the artist an idea of what we're looking for. But then I think it's important to let the artist do his or her own thing in trying to realize that vision.
Yeah, so the pro of us saying, hey, we're looking at, for instance, we're looking at this wing thing, we're looking at this hand thing.
Mm-hmm.
The pros of that are that we feel like we've communicated that really clearly, right, to the artists, and they know our parameters, or they know what we're looking for. The only con to that would be if the artist that we get has a really amazing idea that would be better than that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That we
The feeling is uplifting and reaching and aspiring, I think was what we kind of got from those images. As long as it's along those lines, I'm down. I'm completely open to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it would be limiting at all. It would just be an illustration of some of the thoughts that we had while we were exploring the concept. But it didn't, it's not a defined direction they have to go in.
So a launching pad, it sounds like. Here's our idea launcher. Here's what we're thinking of. And the good thing too, if the artist doesn't have any ideas, those are great ideas. Like
Right.
Stephanie,
That's what I was
you
thinking.
had, John,
So
were great.
It
yeah.
Which
gets
images do we want to include in there?
So what was that? What are to
Which
include what?
images do we want to include in there if we're putting a visual in there? Like two
definitely
images?
definitely the wings. That's the one I think everybody was
Hmm.
responding to.
So, real quick, in the sense of layout, and again, it's up for the artist. Uh, I was looking for like a way for the piece to interact with light, and it doesn't necessarily have to be moving, but a sense of connecting the pieces together. You know, Shanda and I talked about lighting gel, and maybe using that as connector pieces, because that could be the clear portion of it that could be backlit.
There's a fog
That
out
would have
there,
this color brightness
and
to
it's
it, as
calling
well
you
as
by
something
name.
lighting it from the front.
It wants to
Just
wrap
just a
itself
thought.
around you,
And
make
that
you
would be
forget who
something,
you are.
when we do have when we
But
do
you
have an
won't
artist
forget.
sit down with them, have a
You've
lot
got to find your way through that fog,
of
through the unknown.
gel
There's only one way.
lighting that I mean we have that's pre-material for us that we got
Well,
a
we
sample
this
when we
morning
were
are
performing our
following up
building.
on a letter sent to a Lake Oswego family asking them to take down a
that would be
sign supporting Black Lives
discussion
Matter.
since we were
It made
invited.
us wonder, what is life like for people of color living there? As Bryant Clerkley found out, there's a group in the city that's
Any
focusing
other
on
thoughts
inclusion. Good morning,
timeline
Bryant.
or duration? Are we ready to
Good
have
morning,
this,
Brenda, and that's right. I
endured
spoke with
in
two
the
people
center,
who are now
or
living in
that
Lake
might come
Oswego.
down to budget and lighting?
We made USAA renters.
Well, I think it comes down to the end product too. Is like, is it something that, you know, did it get did it achieve what we were hoping for it to achieve? And if it looks a particular way, can it live in the center for the arts, or can it live hung from the ceiling in the library or some other public location that would kind of that would work with that? Whatever the end product looks like, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to.
I think leaving it in the art center for definitely at least a month, I would think. Maybe longer.
All right. Any last thoughts on that before we? If anyone has any thoughts that were not able to be expressed tonight, please feel free to email those to me too. I'll do my best to incorporate that. I'm drinking water.
I keep going back to that hashtag, that arts create hope. I'm like, why not kind of tie into that? Because it's what you were kind of joking about, the name being hoping and coping.
Yeah.
Has there been any events that happened recently that photos were taken of that happened in the community that we can add to that? Or
I mean, it kind of feels like everyone is doing, everyone is doing their own things in their own homes and front yards and backyards and spaces. And I think what we're trying to do with this project is kind of be one big social media blitz, but it's all staying there instead of scrolling through people's photos. We're taking all those and
it's one giant wall,
together.
basically.
Yeah, one giant story.
Are we open to opening up to the kids as well? And you know, they don't necessarily all have cameras and whatnot, but drawings and incorporating their drawings into the piece as well. Talking like elementary age kids or younger.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there doesn't need to be a limit to photographs. We can scan anything. We can print anything.
Mm-hmm.
We can accept all kinds of art.
I was thinking in the sense of the art my daughter does a lot of stuff in dimensional type stuff, where if maybe you have a full on picture of the piece, but then have the photos that you wouldn't use for the actual artwork, but shows the depth of the piece, then maybe the artist could like recreate that somehow with depth, with some type of material to make it, you know what I mean, textured in some way.
And I think this is where when we have an artist identified, they can help us create the guidelines for submission. You know, like can they, what can they work with? What can we accept and give to them that they can work with to make the thing that they're going to make?
Mm-hmm. So is there any way to forecast cost, like if we had, say, 300 people submit something, how much it would cost to print that out in color? Is there a guesstimate of how we could do that, or do we have any partners, printing partners that you work with in the center? Or?
We do work with some printing partners. I mean, there's a way to estimate costs, definitely. Do you want me to look into that and get back to you all?
If you could, I don't know how involving that is. I'm sorry.
And I am sure there are not any discretionary funds just lying around that could supplement this project.
I mean, yes, and I mean, we always do have a line item for community promotion and community events. So that would be just a discussion with, I mean, something I would talk to Kristen about. But we are going to need to rethink what a community event looks like in the fall. We're not going to be able to do, you know, things like open mic nights in person and a traditional art gallery opening, things like that. So it's just a reimagining. What does it mean to be a civic hub? What does it mean to be a community center? And what is the best use of our community promotion reach out funds?
Right. It'd be nice if somehow we could cover all the material costs and the 550 would go to the artist.
That was my concern too, is that the artist would look at like, wait, the materials are part of this amount, and I don't know how many artists we would get to commit to the project based on available funds, unfortunately.
Well, let me look at that because yeah, we do not want to take an artist. I am very against underpaying artists.
Did we answer your question at all, Casey, or did we kind of beat around the bush on that?
It's pretty good. Up there, yeah.
Do we have any more discussion on that, or do we want to move to the next item? It's kind of hard to vote on it if we don't have everybody here. We don't have Vicky and Sky. The next item on the agenda was voting on leadership for a new chair since Bernie has moved on.
And Bernie does want to still help on a volunteer capacity. Because I know he wrote that in the note. He wanted me to sincerely convey that he's putting his energies towards the election in November, which is admirable. So we do have quorum, right? There's 3.
We do not have quorum.
So we do not.
No, we do. We have 3 people left, don't we?
We have 3 out of 5.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So we do have quorum. I know that Sky is open to, her term is going through June 30th, 2021, and she is open to being considered for chair through 6/30/21 if if you would want her to vote, or if you wanted to vote her in, but she wanted to communicate that before she left today.
I nominate Sky Bowie.
I know. There we go.
So John second.
Yeah, I second that.
So
Casey, you want to be a co-chair?
just like, wait. So then would we need to do a call for a vote, John?
Yeah. So looking to vote. Well, she has to accept it though, right?
Is there a point of clarification, Kelsey or Kristen, that would be helpful? We will be doing this every July 1st, y'all, from now on.
Yeah, I don't recall if in the new language it says exactly how the process has to go, but usually it's done in a meeting with somebody there. But if she already indicated that she'd be open, that's fine, or you can just move it to the beginning of the next meeting. And in the meantime, if anyone else would like to be considered, let me put it this way, we're not going to achieve anything necessarily by voting her in tonight with her not being here. We could do it at the next meeting when she's actually present.
Okay.
So it could go in the minutes as that she's expressed interest ahead of time, and we expressed interest in her being the chair, and then we can
and you can
table
even
it
nominate
until the next
her,
meeting.
right? Yeah.
Let's put in the minutes that Sky was nominated.
There we go.
Yeah.
And seconded, and that we'll vote. And let's just vote at the top of the meeting. I'll put it in the agenda as the top of the meeting. Next.
Exactly. And then maybe also add in there for consideration for vice chair, if John is willing to continue and be reappointed or renominated as vice chair, if somebody else would like that opportunity. So then next time we'll be ready to go.
I'm open to vice chair unless Jeff or Casey's down here and Jeff's up here on my window. So either one of you are interested in that, I would not stand in your way.
Great. So we will do that first thing at the next meeting. August is going by really quickly. I'm just putting that out there. It feels suddenly like we're sliding down a very quick slide. All right. Does everyone feel heard, feel good about that? Okay. And I will let Sky, I texted her just to make sure she was still interested, and she is, so I'll just let her know what the status is. What is next?
I believe that's it. Other than, I guess, reminding everybody the next meeting's on the 21st of September.
And I want to say on the record, I just really appreciate the service of Casey, Jeff, John, and Sky, who's not here, and Ava, all of you who have served this many months and years. It's not a small thing to volunteer for a community in this way, and I know local government is new and different for a lot of people, and I just really appreciate all of you. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your showing up month after month and week after week, and I just want to say that out loud. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
and I'm excited about the possibilities. All right, anything else? I will send this out to you all tonight. Make sure, give me your feedback as you do. And I'm going to go down the social media rabbit hole of hashtag arts create hope.
I like it.
Let's see what's out there. Let's see.
Why can't we ride a little bit of the coattails and?
And that, I mean, Americans for the Arts, it does, it's all over our nation. So let's see what else is out there. And
yeah, the Unity project wasn't based or started with us, so and it helps kind of cement things in people's minds why it's being done.
Yeah. All right.
Anything else, anyone? Sean, you gonna play some guitar for us back there?
Not tonight. Not tonight. Yeah.
So look at that, 8 o'clock, everybody. And I'll adjourn this meeting at 8 o'clock. Oh, okay, 8:01.
Thank you.
Night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.